China has been the manufacturing powerhouse of the world for decades, but with shifting global dynamics and emerging competitors, the Dragon Nation now faces a new threat on the horizon. But what exactly caused this sudden downfall of the prosperous Chinese economy? A nation doing so well suddenly in this puzzling situation? Doesn't make any sense, does it? In this video, we'll explore the rising contender that has been flying under the radar, quietly building its manufacturing capabilities and attracting the attention of some of the world's biggest brands. Get ready to discover the next big manufacturing threat to China. Have a look at this wig. Just a plain old wig. You would assume that a straightforward wig has little to do with economics, but you'd be wrong. In reality, the industry for wigs and hair extensions worldwide is worth almost $6 billion. You could wonder, who is the major participant in this market? China, which produces and exports more than 70% of the wigs and hair extensions in the world, is the answer. Now, you might assume that China is only skilled in producing wigs, but that isn't the reality. China actually has the top manufacturing positions in a number of sectors, including those for textiles, basic metals, computers, machinery, tools, and even automobiles. It is difficult to think of an industry in which China does not own at least 20% of the global market. For a variety of reasons, this is significant. Yet, despite China's hegemony in manufacturing, its position as the top manufacturer in the world has actually begun to wane since 2010, and the new rivals in this industry might not be the nations you'd anticipate. It's interesting to note that following China, the US, Japan, and Germany have the third, fourth, and fifth largest manufacturing economies respectively. China still contributes more to global manufacturing output than the other two put together though. Therefore, wigs, while appearing to be a pointless item, actually provide us with information about the global economy and the altering dynamics of manufacturing power. Can we even argue that China, which controls at least 20% of the global market share in almost every industry, dominates the manufacturing sector? This is significant for a variety of reasons, but since 2010, China's dominance in the global manufacturing sector has begun to wane. It's interesting to note that the rivals that are rising to challenge China's hegemony are not the nations that you would anticipate. The United States, Japan, and Germany are the world's second, third, and fourth largest industrial economies respectively. But China still accounts for a larger portion of global manufacturing output than the combined output of the other three. However, thanks to its English-speaking populace, India's economy has chosen a different course, earning far more from its global services sector than from manufacturing. As a result, Singapore and other smaller, service-based economies are in rivalry with India's economy rather than China. Who could, therefore, during the course of the next 2 decades, become the next major industrial economy? Things start to become intriguing at this point. There are a number of peculiar and unexpected economic elements at play, so the solution might not be straightforward. In this episode of Economic Oddity, we consider the possibilities and offer some original perspectives on whether the dark horse economy might dominate the manufacturing sector in the years to come. The North American Free Trade Agreement, which was set to go into force in 1994, signaled the beginning of a new era for Mexico. Through this deal, Mexico would have access to new markets and prospects. NAFTA would make it easier for Mexican products to reach its American and Canadian neighbors. This action would reshape Mexico's economy from one that was closed off to foreign trade. Mexico's big, young population saw vying for industrial possibilities as a method to ensure that a large and rising population would have plenty of employment prospects. Mexico had a higher fertility rate than Brazil, France, Iran, the US, China, India, and Nigeria. However, a high population can only be advantageous economically if there are enough job possibilities. Without this, it may easily spiral into a demographic catastrophe. The requirement for Mexico to diversify its trading partners, a reminder that's been made abundantly clear in recent months, motivates the country's development even more. To preserve a strong and stable economy, the nation needs to go beyond its long-standing allies and instigate new markets. Mexico's challenge is to make sure that the potential of its people is realized and that it can compete on a global scale. Mexico's economy and population may expand with the correct policies. Mexico's industrial sector has recently been greatly impacted by the tensions between China and the United States over import taxes and trade policy. Mexico is becoming a more sought-after place for manufacturing as the US seeks to lessen its reliance on trade from China. Mexico would benefit greatly from focusing on a few core industries, such as machinery and electronics, even though it seems improbable that Mexico will replace China as the world's leading manufacturer for everything. The proposed United States-Mexico-Canada agreement from the Trump administration wants to standardize labor wages in the automobile sector in order to forward this endeavor. This would help economies like Mexico, where informal marketplaces are mostly responsible for economic activity, gain the regulation and transparency they need. The manufacturing sector in Mexico appears to be growing. Organizations may be assured that their intellectual property will be safe from theft thanks to Mexico's relatively safer and more secure regulatory framework compared to other countries. Additionally, Mexico provides more affordable production options than China while shortening the transit time needed to import goods into important markets like the US. A number of international firms have already established manufacturing operations in Mexico, signaling the sector's early signals of expansion. Businesses looking to cut shipping costs and transit times might consider moving to Mexico because of its proximity to the US and Canada. Mexico is anticipated to grow to be a prominent player in the global manufacturing industry as a result of its ongoing focus on strengthening its regulatory environment. Time is money, as the saying goes, and this is particularly true when discussing supply chains. The COVID-19 pandemic's supply chain breakdowns underline the necessity for companies to diversify their supply chain dependence. As a result, Mexico has replaced China as the US's primary trading partner. Mexico surpassed China and Canada to become the US's top trading partner in 2021, as imports from Mexico increased by 18.3% from the previous year to reach over $390 billion. But Mexico's allure as a location for new manufacturing isn't just due to China's drawbacks or its proximity. Mexico's labor force currently outperforms China in terms of skill and productivity. In fact, unit labor costs in Mexico were comparable to those in China as early as 2014, and by 2019, manufacturing wages for several industries has decreased to 20% or less than their Chinese equivalents. Shipping from Mexico is also more affordable and efficient than shipping from China, particularly when delivering within the Americas, where savings can reach up to 90%. Some of the biggest businesses in the world, as a result, have moved some of their production operations to Mexico. Mexico is anticipated to play a significant role in the global manufacturing sector thanks to its talented labor force, affordable production alternatives, and advantageous geographical location. Multinational firms continue to invest in the industrial sector as it expands. In fact, Mexico has already made a name for itself as a global leader in a number of important sectors, including the production of automobiles, aeroplanes, and electronics. Ford Motor Company, which has made significant investments in Mexico's automotive industry over the years, is an example of a business that relocated its production activities there. General Motors, Toyota, and Samsung are just a few of the other several large firms that have a presence in Mexico. Mexico's success as a manufacturing powerhouse can be attributed to its highly qualified labor, welcoming business environment, and advantageous location. To help support its expanding industry, the nation has also made large expenditures in infrastructure, education, and technology. As a result of the COVID-19 epidemic, many businesses are working to lessen their reliance on a particular supplier or location. This has also emphasized the significance of a robust and diverse global supply chain. Mexico is a desirable substitute for China for many businesses trying to diversify their supply chains due to its closeness to the United States, skilled labor force, and affordable production alternatives. Therefore, the question is, can Mexico continue to demonstrate its ability to provide essentials on a consistent scale? And the answer is very definitely yes. Mexico is well positioned to continue to be a prominent player in the global market for years to come, due to its expanding industrial sector and ongoing investments in infrastructure and technology. Mexico's automotive exports have grown significantly over the past 20 years, increasing over 300% from 2002 to 2018. 89 of the top 100 car part producers in the world are currently based in this nation. But what draws manufacturers to Mexico as a location for their operations? First off, Mexico has a sizable, highly educated workforce that produces more engineers annually than the US combined. Additionally, the nation provides labor prices that are competitive with those of established manufacturers for a population that is expanding. Many top brands have observed the trend of transferring manufacturing operations to Mexico. Ford, General Motors, Nissan, BMW, and Toyota are a few well-known businesses that have moved their operations to Mexico. With such major companies moving their operations to Mexico, it should come as no surprise that the nation has established itself as a serious competitor to China's manufacturing might in the following 10 years. A key benefit from manufacturing is Mexico's advantageous position, which offers quick access to both the North and South American markets. Additionally, Mexico is a desirable location for businesses wishing to lessen their reliance on China due to its favorable trade deals with a number of nations, including the US and Canada. In conclusion, Mexico appears to be well positioned to benefit from the shift away from China as a manufacturing powerhouse because of its highly qualified workforce, supportive trade policies, and advantageous location. And that's a wrap for today's video. What have you got to say about this, folks? Feel free to let us know in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on all of our upcoming content. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.